Tom's joining me now. He looks fuming. He's going to go off, I think. I think he's going to burst a blood vessel on this one. Let's listen to see what he's got to say.
All right, mate.
Oh, your microphone's gone mad.
Yeah, let me see if this is it. Yeah.
There we go.
There we go. That was fun. That was a really enjoyable. That's 2 hours of my life that I will not get back. But I saw it coming. I'm going to go for the Jurgen Klopp approach. I'm going to take the positives. We didn't lose by 3 goals this time. We only lost by 1. It should have been more, but we only lost by 1. So get in there. What an improvement defensively. The Reds, they're coming back. Yada, yada. No. The manager. I'm going to start straight on the manager because I've been committing crimes by questioning this manager's decision and saying, he looks a bit off. He's not making the correct decisions. Don't get some of the decisions. No. How dare I question Jurgen Klopp? Since the World Cup, he's been the worst manager in the league. No, that was what I've watched Frank Lampard get sacked, and Jurgen Klopp since the World Cup has still been worse than him. None of his decisions make sense. The signing of Gakpo, great little player, off the left wing. We signed a left winger and we're trying to force him up front. Why? We've actually devolved as a football team. In the space of a year, we've went from challenging for a quad to devolving to the point where we want to go back 5 years and play with a false 9 again, which I thought we'd move past that, but obviously not. We've bought Gakpo to try and play false 9, which is a stupid thing. Surely just go buy a natural false 9. But hey-ho. Mohamed Salah was still 6 months into a season making Mohamed Salah play like Mark Albrighton, hugging the touchline, trying to put crosses in. In the last minute of the game, 2-1 down, 95th minute, we've got a corner, and we've crossed it into Salah at the back post like he's going to do anything. Defence, awful. I thought, we might turn the corner with Joe Gomez, with Canate as a partner. No. Substitution, I don't know why he took Trent off. He was getting done by Matoma, but everyone has been getting done by Matoma. So I'm looking at the positives that Trent brings his team, and it's creativity, it's crossing, it's actual ability from right back. James Milner came on and was awful. He was awful, and I feel sorry for him because he shouldn't be playing there. He shouldn't be being brought on against the most informed winger in the league. But hey-ho, my manager knows all. I'm not allowed to question him. The midfield. Do you know what? We should not make subs. I think that's something I've realised as well. We should not make subs. If we try and make subs, we just get worse. There's no sort of different aspect to the game that we try and unlock. No. We just get worse. We just turn awful once we make subs because Fabinho is awful. Henderson is awful. Milner is awful. Jones is awful. Oxlade-Chamberlain is awful. We've got one good sub, it's Darwin Núñez, and we chuck him out of position. We've played a team today where we have a front three, and at the back end of the game, only one person was in the correct position, and we still had him in the wrong role. It doesn't make sense. I don't get how we've devolved this badly. I don't get it. And at this point, this season, I've tapped out. I'm waiting for 40 points. Get me to the magic 40 mark so I'm not getting relegated, and then I'm done. Because we're not doing anything else. We do not have the consistency or the defensive power to challenge for top 4. We don't have the consistency or defensive ability to challenge for the Champions League, and we're out of every other cup. So just get me to 40 and let me tap out, because this has been awful. And serious questions need to be asked about the manager. And I don't care how much he's done for us in the past. I love him for what he's done in the past, but we're not in the past now. This isn't 2019. This is 2023. And the manager is doing us more harm than good. And I haven't seen no inclination in previous years of his career that he's going to change it. We cannot be his guinea pig. We can't be that. So if coming the end of this season, I've seen nothing changing, nothing evolving, I'm going to point at him. I'm going to say, maybe it's time to go. Maybe it's time we cut ties, let you go, where your legacy has not been tarnished at this football club. Because the worst thing he could do is stay till the end of his contract, and we just get stuck in this cycle where he can't keep changing it, where he can't keep evolving it, because why is he in charge of transfers now? Why is he doing that? He'd never done that in the past, but he's doing it now, and look at how well that's turned out. There's so many problems with this football club, and the club are holding on to Jude Bellingham like he's the messiah. We signed Jude Bellingham, not on changes, because we need more than just one player to fix this. We are in such bad state that we need about 5 or 6.
The thing is, you're not getting Jude Bellingham playing like this. And I think,
No.
listen, clubs like Liverpool can sign top players when they're not in the Champions League or when they're in rebuild. You're Liverpool. But Jude Bellingham is in a kind of category of players who is potentially available, who has multiple clubs your size looking at him. There is no way he picks Liverpool, in my opinion. The only way it would happen is if you have new owners and there is a kind of £300 million budget in the summer, and he is one of a number of players that come in. Does that make sense? Then he'd look at it and go, well, if you just add him to this team right now, you'll be better. But that ain't going to help Trent. You know, it's not going to help because there isn't a centre back at your club at the minute that looks capable of defending. I know that Van Dijk's out, but this was happening when he was fit. So it's nothing to do with Van Dijk being out. Liverpool have got major problems right now. And someone actually sent me a link while you were talking to Craig from the Anfield Agenda, who's made an argument as to still, I've got to watch the video, but he's basically made a video saying they will still make the top 4. There's no way you can believe you're making top 4 playing like this, surely, Tom.
No, not a chance. Because it's not like I'm talking about, City and Arsenal. I'm on about Fulham. Fulham will probably drop less points than us in the back half of this season. Brighton will drop less points in the back half of this season than us. United, Tottenham, who else is there to put? Newcastle, all them lot are better than us this season. And whatever the reason you think it is, whether you think it's the players have lost touch with the manager, the players simply aren't good enough anymore. Whatever it is, I think there's a combination of all of it that comes into it. I do think the overarching theme is the manager and coaching staff. Something has to change there. That's not a bad thing. Let's not act like these great successful teams in the past have never changed coaching staff. They went through about 5 assistant managers. Sometimes players just need someone else to listen to, a different voice, a different.
Well, one of the things Fergie did after about 10 years at the club is he started to remove himself regularly from being the main person training the team. And he delegated that out to multiple coaches. And then, as you say, he changed them every 4 or 5 years to refresh things. And that allowed him to stay at the club. If Fergie would have just tried to coach the team directly himself for 25, 30 years, he would have burnt out in the 90s, let alone lasting almost 2 more decades. This is the thing. I do feel that there is a genuine possibility that Jurgen Klopp has now burnt out. I did want to ask you as well a bit more detail on your thoughts on Cody Gakpo, because what have you made of his first, is it 4 or 5 games? And I know that 5 games, no goals. I don't think he's got any assists. I don't remember a moment of quality from him. I genuinely don't.
I don't think anyone has a moment of quality in this team at the minute. I don't. I feel, look, is he what we needed now? And I've said that we should have bought a midfielder with that money. We've been crying out for a midfielder for 4 fucking years, but hey ho, let's buy another attacker. But on him personally, I've got sympathy for him because the man came in as one of the most informed left-hand side players in the world. And we all looked at it and thought, well, then Jota would go in the middle, then he'd have Gakpo and Diaz fighting for the left wing. Cody Gakpo has played about 30 minutes on the left, and the rest of it has been up front. And he's not... Because what's happened is my manager shit himself. That's what he's done. He's panicked. He's bottled it. My manager's bottled it and tried to go back to what he'd done 5 years ago when we had, a false 9, 2 inside forwards, and then a workman midfield. He's tried to do that. But instead of having the best way I can describe it, we've tried to go to a system, but we're trying to use doors instead of windows, and we're trying to use windows instead of doors in the positions that we need. We're putting square pegs in round holes. The entire thing is broken. It's broken. And at this point, as a manager, you have to sit there and go, I want to play this style. I can't play this style. My players aren't good enough. We haven't got the right players, yada, 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 so I can't do it. So let me limit the bleeding. Let me limit the damage. Let me go play a system that plays to our strengths, limits our weaknesses. The system we're playing now limits our strengths and plays to our weaknesses. So teams just have so much fun. Cody Gakpo, this was his best performance today, and it still wasn't very good. But it was the best of a bad bunch because he's not a striker. Why are we playing them up front? You've got Nunes and Salah, who have played up front this season. Played them up front. Gakpo played as a 10 in the World Cup. Play him in a 10. Go to a diamond. Go to a 4-2-3-1. Go to anything but 4-3-3 because it doesn't work. Maybe it can work next year. Maybe it can work down the line. But right now, it's not working. And what you're doing by sticking with this formation is stupid. It's negligence. And it's going to cost us the season. I don't want to get Europe. Shamelessly, I'd want Conference League so I could run away with it next year and go, we've won all 3 trophies. But I don't want that. I don't want to be watching us versus the back arse of whoever that is, NS Mura or whoever Tottenham played years ago. Like, I don't care. I don't care for that. But we're going to be in it because my manager is cutting us adrift. I know these players are bad. Don't get me wrong. These players are awful. Certain players in this team, Fabinho has to go back to centre-back. You know how players get older and you pull them back from positions? Fabinho's 29. I need him to go away from midfield because he's not got the legs. Henderson needs to go. Milner needs to go. Ox needs to go. Like, the entire midfield needs to go. But I know what these players can do. It's the manager who's trying to make them do stuff they can't. It's the manager who's trying to force players into positions they can't play. And yes, you can question the players, and yes, you can question the ownership, but question the manager because he's not immune from all this. If anything, he's the only common factor. He's the only person where you go and he's involved in every aspect of where we've gone wrong this season. So question him. It doesn't mean you have to run him out, but you have to wonder why he's making half of these stupid decisions he's making.